Dah habis. Kalau Melayu memang putih itu. Siapa kami? Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Inshallah, we are going to start the session. We would like to invite Prof. Rose to begin the session, inshallah. Let us begin with Al-Fatiha. Okay, Prof. Rose.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Honorable Professor Dato Dr. Ansary Muhammad, who is the speaker today. Honorable Rector, Dato Rector, iaitu Professor Emeritus Dato Dr. Usman Bakar. Sepatutnya ada Prof Tengku ni, tapi saya sama-sama breakfast dengan dia tadi. I don't know what happened to him. Someone must have whisked him away. Agaknya. Anyway, Prof panjang umur. Baru sebut. Apa saat tengku lambat? Saya pun bagi excuse, saya kata kita sama-sama breakfast tadi. So, Honorable Professor Emeritus Datuk Technologist Dr. Tengku Muhammad Tengku Sembuk, who is the Dekan of KICT or Kuliah of ICT. Datuk Dr. Nobik, Professor Datuk Dr. Nobik Bashar Idris, who is the Chief Digital Officer for IIUM. I'm sorry lah Naima, saya tak macam the salutations tak apa ya. Okay. So participants, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters ya. Saya memang tak pandai sangat. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. On behalf of the Center for Tauhidic AI Studies, I warmly welcome you to this talk, which is the third series of the CTAIS, Center for Tauhidic AI Studies. We emphasize on the studies aspect because a lot of research needs to be done but has not been done yet. And we aspire to do the research on that. So this is the third lecture series. Thank you, Dato Rector, for arranging this. And this the third lecture series is by none other by the founding president of AEU, Asia University, who is Professor Dato Dr. Ansary Ahmed. So please allow me to read his biodata, which I have summarized and highlighted only the important aspects. Minta maaf ya Datuk. So it is my distinct honor to introduce our distinguished speaker for today, who is Professor Dato Dr. Ansary Ahmed. He is a very well-known Malaysian academic entrepreneur and who is a leading voice in digital higher education across, I would say, across Southeast Asia, across Asia, and hopefully around the world as well. And as I've mentioned, Dato Ansary is also the founder president of AEU, and he is also the group managing director of AEU, which is Asia E-University, which is Malaysia's first dual mode international university initiated by the Asian Cooperative Dialogue with the support of 34 member countries. Internationally, Prof. Dato Dr. Ansary has served as the governing board of UNESCO's International Institute for IT in Education and also as advisor to the UNESCO Regional Center for Quality Education. Dato Ansary is also a board member for the International Council for Distance Education, Norway, and also a co-chair of the Global Advisory Campaign, and also the first vice president of ASIHIL, which is Association for Southeast Asian Institutions of Higher Learning. And at the Malaysian level, Dato Ansary is also the national chairman for e-learning and internationalization under the Ministry of Higher Education, where Dato Ansary has led the development of Malaysia's national e-learning roadmap. And by training, Dr. Ansary is actually a molecular geneticist from the University of Manchester, where he began his career at the University of Malaya, rising to full professor and founder dean of the Institute of Graduate Studies. He later co-founded the Open University of Malaysia, which is now the country's largest ODL institution. And amongst Datuk's many honors, Datuk was named as the most promising entrepreneur by Enterprise Asia in 2010. And Datuk was also the first recipient of Malaysia's National E-Learning Maestro Award in 2018. And received an honorary doctorate in education from Thailand in 2020. Dato also holds the State Award of Dajah Paduka Mahkota Perak, which carries the title Dato. And ladies and gentlemen, please allow me and join me in welcoming Professor Dato Dr. Ansary Ahmed to deliver his lecture on the future AI native university and implementation roadmap. So Dato, please welcome. Please begin. Yeah. And if we can have a few words either at the beginning or at the end from our rector.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Prof. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. I would like to welcome my old friend, Professor Ansary, as the specially invited speaker for this called CTAIS. Yeah? CTAIS. AIS, which is the Malay spelling for eyes, ICE, so eyes. So CTAIS. Yes, not but CTI, yeah. Okay. Professor Ansary, we were together at University of Malaya, the same faculty of science. I was in the philosophy part. He was basically in genetics. That's the area is genetics. Genetic, so two opposite things, but we were close. And of course, during the time when the Tan Sri Abdullah Sanusi Ahmad was the Vice Chancellor, I was Deputy Vice Chancellor. We were close also, both of us, I mean, in sense. And then later when Tan Sri Abdullah headed the Open University, he actually, another friend here, mutual friend close, Brother Bahrum, yeah, Brother Bahrum, is in Ramli Bahrum, sorry, Ramli Bahrum. It's business studies, yeah, business studies. So actually, these are the people who helped Tan Sri Abdullah in his job, And of course, later, Dr. Ansary founded this e-university, So one of the main reasons why I want him to give a talk here, because his vast experience, anything to do with anything to do with electronic. This E is not the E great, This is because this E is excellent. E for excellent. E, E for excellent. Yeah. So I think, although today, I expected some more people to come. I don't know. Yeah. But the people, these are the cream of our university. They are the top university management. Very, very important. Yeah, they are here. Because we really want some advice from you. Some advice from you. One more when you know, so you want to talk about implementing a Tawhidi native AI. The word Tawhidi is that very important for us. But what do you mean by native? I don't know. We have to learn. I want to learn from you. So I just want to just say thank you very much. Yeah. Another thing, of course, I have just talked in my office just now with Dr. Zari because he is now a member of the governing board of the what do you call this? Tech information technologies education. Anything to do with education, of course related to KICT, yeah, certainly. But he's the member of that. So I was talking just now. I said, in the light of the Islam and Confucianism civil dialogue in Beijing, we certainly would like to cooperate or to work with UNESCO, how to upgrade to advance ethical education, ethics, education ethics. So our discussion just now opens up various possibilities, inshallah. So we thank you and just a brief comments. Right, yeah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah la nabiyya ba'dah. Let me first and foremost thank Jazakumullah khairan kasiran, my brother and my mentor, what they call Prof. Dato Osman. He was my former boss, so being my former boss and my mentor, so when he called me and said, can you give this talk, it's difficult to say no, Am I right, Dato? So please come and talk about this. But I did tell him, that I am no what they call expert in terms of epistemology, particularly Tawhidic epistemology. That's his topic. I'm not in that area at all. So I'm going to try to do a little bit of Tawhidic aspect of what they call implementing AI with my little bit of knowledge in terms of Tawhidic aspects of epistemology. And when I was coming in here, I noticed that what you call, you also put the ummatic excellence. I think, it translates the fact that, if you're talking in this day and age, when you talk about AI, you have to talk about ummatic excellence, whether you like it or not, and how can we be catalytic towards, the ummah become excellent kind of thing. But before I go any further, get into the discussion of the presentation itself, let me acknowledge, I see a lot of my old friends here. We are all old, sama-sama tua, petengku dan sebagainya. We're all getting old together. I see Ramli as well. We were what they call soldiers in arms together at one time with the Open University Malaysia. Dr. Barodin, who's been with me, was my senior in UK, bullying me when I was still a young what you call student in UK. Very good.
Mashkuri.
Mashkuri. Mas Joke. Yeah. The RMC punya bullying lah, So I was not from RMC, so but when I went to UK, of course, being my senior, they bully I lah, So, but we became a lot of brothers later on. Then he helped me when I was coming back to Malaysia, masuk in Malaya. He helped me a lot in terms of settling down back in Malaysia after 10 years being overseas. Okay, with that, let's get started. So, inshallah, we will try to see what we move on. Can you go to the first slide, please? Yeah. Okay. So we are not just witnessing a change, we are witnessing a redefinition of knowledge itself. AI is no longer a tool at the periphery of education. I think we all understand this. It is transforming education itself. And this gives just a big picture of the transformation that is taking place, particularly in every domain of the university and university life and university, what you call life cycle of a student is already moving into AI. It is moving rapidly into the center of reshaping how students learn, how academics teach, and how institutions themselves operate, kind of thing. So AI is already changing teaching, learning, research, administration, assessment, and knowledge access. The question for an Islamic university is not whether to use AI, but how to use it without surrendering the soul of education. I think this is where we are now, surrendering the soul of education, letting AI taking over everything. I think Tengku, you will agree with me on terms of that, because we are having a lot of now talk outside in the world, particularly by philosophers talking about how AI is dehumanizing mankind itself, and how do you make AI, how do you humanize AI? That's something that's going on. So recent Tawhidic AI work, which I managed to just do a little bit of reading while preparing for this presentation kind of thing, argues that intelligent technologies should serve creation rather than dominate it, and should remain accountable to moral purpose and human stewardship. I think the concept of human stewardship is extremely important. The simplistic way that the West talks about and secular way talks about human stewardship, they say that putting the human in the loop. Yeah, it's a very simple way. But I think the much more deeper meaning will be stewardship. Because Khalifa, the concept of Khalifa. Next slide, please. So why does it matter now? I think we can know that AI can expand access, efficiency, personalization, and research capacity, but AI can also weaken authorship, can weaken critical reasoning, because we see a lot of research now showing the fact that there's a cognitive decline on those people who use AI heavily, because students and even faculty, we're seeing now, faculty staff, are using more and more AI and thinking less and less, because they think they just give a simple prompt and they get all the answers. So we see this what they call decline in cognitive use kind of thing because of AI as a tool. And then the concept of adab itself, I think adab is something which has been forgotten as far as acquisition of knowledge is concerned. We talk about knowledge and acquisition of knowledge itself, and epistemic, what they call trust, if left ungoverned. So these are some of the issues that we have. So the question is, I recently chaired what they call a global seminar webinar
on what you call AI, and whether we ask the question, will we allow AI to shape us or will we shape AI? I think that's a very important what you call question. So here in the concept of Islamic University, I think we should shape AI through Tawhidic what you call a concept, guided by Maqasid. As we all know, we are all rooted by Maqasid and anchored in the concept of Amanah itself. So this is what my thought is. But in the webinar, we had people from several parts of the world giving different what they call facets of how they see whether to allow AI to shape us or allow or we shape AI. But the consensus was that if we do not take control of AI, the human control of AI, and be a human steward towards AI, AI will control us ultimately. I think the concept, I think Tengku, you will agree with me. The concept is about singularity, yeah. The concept of singularity, where AI is able to outpace the human thinking itself. I think we're coming to that already. There are already examples of certain things which AI is outpacing us in our what you call thinking itself and controlling things. And I'm sure you're aware of the recent what you call Iran war, and where there was this problem of what they call anthropic AI, anthropic AI, where Trump wanted to use it. Trump administration wanted to use it to have autonomous what they call killing machines. The machines making their own decisions on who they should target and who they should kill. And what they call anthropic AI said, no, we're not going to get into that kind of area because we know there's still very much value difference. So I think autonomous aspects of using AI is becoming more and more what they call frightening if you talk about this concept of singularity. So what they call so we come to the stage that so it's not merely a technology conversation. This is a civilizational responsibility for those of us who are conscious of this fact. Not just in terms of whether we are talking about it from an Islamic concept or whether or the non-Islamic concept, but those of us who are conscious about the fact that do not want AI to actually overwhelm mankind, that we should have guidelines and guardrails kind of thing. Again, here, if you remember J.D. Vance, when he went to what they call for the AI summit that was held in Europe, last year. Was it early last year or the year before? Because the Europeans have got quite strict guidelines as far as usage of AI and AI research, etc., kind of thing. But J.D. Vance went there and gave them a lecture and said that, in the US, we are not going to have any guardrails. We're just going to allow it to move forward. So I think this is where the US and Europe is much stricter in terms of regulations and ethical use of AI as opposed to what they call the US. And that's because I think the US was more influenced by the military, and they wanted to make sure that there was no guardrails as far as military use of AI is concerned. So Islamic universities, therefore, we have a heavy responsibility as Islamic university, therefore, to develop a model that is not only digital but normatively grounded in Tawhid. So I think Tawhidic concept of a native AI. Next slide, please. So we have a strategic what they call opportunity right now because the window is open, opportunity is there for Malaysia and global leadership in Tawhidic AI. I think the establishment of this center as a Tawhidic AI, what they call for studies, I think is very appropriate. And I'm hoping that it will become the catalyst for us to discuss in this space and move in this space. One important aspect I think we need to look at is Islamic ethical AI leadership, because I think at the end of the day, the whole thing is, the framework should be within an ethical framework. And this morning when I was having a quick discussion with Dato rector sini, we were talking about global, what they call ethical leadership. Yeah, I think that's very, very important. And of course, if CTAIS takes this, what they call this step forward and become the catalyst kind of thing, I think you are positioning yourself as a global South leader in this context. I'll come later to another university which claims to be an AI native university, but they have nothing in terms. It's an Islamic country, so-called Muslim country, Arab country, but has nothing to do as far as Tawhidi, what they call conceptualization is concerned, kind of thing. So the believer is friendly and befriended, for there is no goodness in one who is neither friendly nor befriended. The best of people are those who are most beneficial to other people. I think this is very, very important. So how can we be a benefit to other people? Let's move to the next slide, please. There is a crisis in education now. I think Dato, what they call, I'm going to refer to Dato later on, but as far as fragmentation of knowledge is concerned, I think Dato has been writing a lot of papers as far as the integration of knowledge, the Tawhidi concept and how it envelopes knowledge, etc. kind of thing. So we see that fragmentation knowledge, I think started with Descartes, right? The fragmentation of knowledge. So it started with Descartes long time ago. And we are all products. I think many of us who have been what they call educated within what they call the so-called Western, what they call paradigm and Western mold of teaching and learning. we are all been fragmented in as far as our knowledge is concerned. We're experts in only a very small, what they call area, and other than broad, like it was before. And therefore, we've lost the purpose of knowledge itself. Yeah. Dato', please.
This
Dato' can't
Quranic
talk
verse,
yeah.
this Quranic verse,
Yeah.
Surah Al-Baqarah, that was directly addressed to the Jews.
Yep.
Just for me.
Yeah. So the other one is what you call in terms of higher education itself now has become a business. As you all know, there's the public aspect of the public purse for higher education. Then there's a private purse for higher education. The private purse for education has become more a business, yeah, and in many cases also become a commodity more than anything else, So I think what they call this is something that we need to look at. But this particular verse from Surah Al-Baqarah, I put it here because I think we need to look at education, nothing to do with falsehood. It's the opposite of falsehood. The haq and batil. We're talking about the haq and batil here, and therefore we cannot conceal the haq. That's what it's all about. Next slide, please. There's another crisis that we are going through, the crisis of what they call impact of AI in our teaching and learning, particularly in terms of what they call our assessments. Because globally, what they call statistics show that 92% of students now use AI for their for their teaching and learning. All right, for the assessments, asking questions, whatever it is. 88% use AI for all kinds of assessments, etc. kind of thing. 86% use AI as primary research partner because they do not, those days, I think those of us who are, in the 60s, late 60s and 70s, going to 80s kind of thing. Remember, we used to trudge, particularly those of us who are studying overseas, we used to trudge to the snow to go to the library to get materials kind of thing. Today it's all the fingertip, and now you can ask actually ChatGPT to go and do research for you, and you get it within seconds, kind of thing. That's what. So 86% use AI as a primary research partner, particularly for doctoral students. I will tell you our experience in what they call AU. Because of this, we have actually designed an entire AI, what they call tutor, for what they call doctoral students, how we can use it ethically, kind of thing. But unfortunately, only 20% of global universities have a formal AI policy. And I think that's something that even in Malaysia, there's some universities who don't have a formal, transparent, put it out on your website. This is our what they call AI policy and use of AI kind of thing. So what they call many universities, I can give many examples in the world. I think because of the impact of this and the fact that we are not changing, we see AI as a threat. We see AI as a threat to the form that instruments that we assess. Actually, it's not a threat. It's just that our old assessment models are already outdated. Georgia Tech University, surprisingly, felt that, because the students are using a lot of AI, it's best for us to call the students back into the exam hall and make them write down the answers. Like those days, we used to write down the answers kind of thing. For their assignments when they take home exam, they have to write it in their own handwriting, no more typing it out, kind of thing. How archaic that is, going back in time rather than moving forward in time. But what Georgia Tech found out later on is that there are AI tools which actually can copy your handwriting and produce handwritten what you call reports as well. So it's a defeat. So it defeats the purpose. So how do we embrace AI and ensure that the instruments we're using for what you call assessment is also we need to change with time. This is where our innovation, our creativity is very important. And I hope that what they call the center here will also start looking at not just in terms of the epistemology aspect, etc. kind of thing, or AI, kind of thing, but also look in terms of how do we change our instruments for assessment and moving forward. I will come later to this aspect, kind of thing. So what they call next slide, please. So it's not a concept of don't mistrust AI, don't take it as cheating, etc. kind of thing, but take it, embrace it, kind of thing. Now, EY came up with this report some time back, about 2 years back. Are universities of the past still the future? And I suggest you read this, what they call this particular report, because it says that, if we do not change, the change will make us become dinosaurs as universities, because technology is moving so fast and the traditional way of teaching and learning has to change. So that's what basically this report tells us. Next slide, please. So what do you call, I believe now strongly that the new DNA for lifelong learning, and I'm in the space of lifelong learning, so I'm using this concept of lifelong learning, because I think acquisition of knowledge is a lifelong, what they call, activity. It's not an activity you just come into the university for 4 years being undergraduate, you acquire knowledge, you go away and that's it. Because today is lifelong learning. Whether you like it or not, you got to keep upskilling yourself, you got to keep upping yourself, learning to unlearn your old knowledge and learning new knowledge, etc. kind of thing. So this is something that we need to do. So in this context, we're talking of the dynamic loop of our lifelong learning, where learning is transformed into a continuous, a repetitive cycle that you go through in individual lives. So we are seeing this now, that many universities and many what they call employers are now looking for micro credentials. There's a whole trend towards micro credentials because knowledge is moving so fast. There is no time for them to actually go into a long, what they call 4-year term, what they call academic program, or a 2-year, 1.5-year master's program. They have to go into functional, what they call activities, and get the body of knowledge as quickly as possible, get certified. And this is where Coursera comes out with certifications, Google comes out with certifications. So industrial certificate micro credentials are becoming more and more popular, and employers are looking at those knowledge and skills for employability rather than looking at which alma mater you came from. So micro credentials is the way to go, and that's the way that lifelong learning is pushing in terms of that context. And even here in Malaysia, when you talk about this concept of lifelong learning, MQA is coming up with APLM, Accreditation of Prior Expansion Learning, for micro credentials, where you can actually accumulate and your what you call your micro credentials and get a degree at the end of the day, get a full degree at the end of the day. So it's something that is happening all the time. The other one is, of course, network globally connected. So I think learners today do not want to just learn from one university; they want to learn from many different sources. So the concept of multiversity, I think that's the concept that's growing. So they want to get certificates from other universities as well, in part and parcel of their lifelong learning or the intellectual, what they call, journey kind of thing. And whether you like it or not, all this, you have to embed what they call AI into this journey, into this lifelong journey of their DNA education kind of thing. Next slide, please. So this one I use basically, sorry, go back. This is just to prove to you that I use AI as well. This is notebook LLM, for my PowerPoint, I put it in there. Can you give me something? Can you give me infographics? This is the infographic that comes out from notebook LLM. Next slide, please. So we are moving from this concept of what they call self-discovery, from degrees alone, acquiring degrees alone, to self-discovery and development. And in this context, we are now talking of a few key features that we are seeing happening out there in terms of what they call university education, or you call talking lifelong learning education. First of all, it's got to be learner-centric. I think the days in which education is faculty-centric is gone. So if we try to develop programs which are more faculty-centric, if we try to manage more faculty-centric kind of thing, those days are gone, because people are looking now for personalized pathways, and AI allows you to develop those customized, personalized pathways tailored for the individual needs and goals and passions. Secondly, I think globally we're looking at a trend that, because it's not just education, it is skills and education. It has to go together. And when you talk about creativity, we talk about creative problem solving. Now we're talking complex problem solving. In Singapore, they have what they call a policy where every graduate also must have additional skill certificate, and they finance that. They give 5,000 Sing dollars for them to acquire an additional skill certificate. So they go and get an industrial certification at the same time. That's the policy, and they finance it. So skills, and not just knowledge, but skills that goes together with knowledge. Of course, in today's world, everybody must have this lifelong learning mindset. Experiential learning is becoming more and more important, because what we're learning along our journey of life, that's our experiential learning. That's becoming more and more important. And reflective learning is becoming critical now in terms of assessment too, because AI cannot do the reflection. You can only reflect as a human because of your journey of life, your journey of education, etc., and all that kind of thing. And as a university, we have no choice but to integrate technology, and particularly talking digital technology. So we have to develop the AI assistance in terms of teaching and learning. Coming back to the what they call concept of Tawhidic, what they call a concept, the holistic development of the human is extremely important. So this becomes now very important in terms of balance of intellectual, emotional, social, and spiritual well-being. So this begs the question, is our education system now purpose-driven with all these values that we are asking ourselves, kind of thing. Next slide, please. So I'm just going to move globally just to see that in terms of this native AI concept kind of thing, the AI concept kind of thing, what is happening. in terms of this. So we can see that many of them are now revolving and re-architecting themselves around AI. Of course, one of the leaders in this field is Arizona State University. Now, Arizona State University, I think, has won the what they call most innovative university award in the US for the last 6 years running. And they partnered with what they call with OpenAI about 2 years ago, and they're embedding AI into every aspect of the teaching, learning, and administration of the university. So what's the key, what they call inside what ASU is trying to do? They're not just digitizing. AEU is redesigning the entire university experience all around AI. Right? So every aspect, whether you're a faculty, whether you're admin staff, whether you're a student, every aspect of your what they call working life is redesigned with the experience of AI around it. Another example, next slide, please. Minerva University, I think you all have heard of Minerva University. It was established in 2012. Minerva is a bit unique because it's a global kind of university that allows students to move around traditionally, but now they're using digital. It's fully digital, no traditional lectures, highly structured and discussion-based learning. That's how they do the teaching and learning. AI is embedded into the cognitive skill development, real-time feedback in all the teaching and learning or assignments, and they have a big digital collaborative engagement. So students can actually move around virtually, globally to get their what they call lessons, etc. kind of thing. So at Minerva, the students are not only trained to depend on AI, they are trained to critique it, challenge it, and refine its outputs. In other words, you become a human steward of AI. You're not just a consumer of AI and using AI as a tool. Let's move closer here to what they call to Asia. Let's look at China, Tsinghua. I was in Tsinghua, what they call last December, and discussing with some of the people there. Now, Tsinghua has already adopted AI. As you know, in China has a next slide, please. Sorry, what else change slide? This is the what they call main admin building of Tsinghua. Tsinghua, as you know, is the Oxbridge of what they call of China, right? Most of the what they call leaders come from Tsinghua. China has an national AI policy that starts from primary school. That's how they're embedding AI from primary school itself. It starts and right up to the university level. By 2030, I think the entire school system will be AI centric. So AI is not just being used for teaching, but it's used for scenario modeling and policy development and simulation for the Chinese government at Tsinghua. That's what they're doing. So to Tsinghua, the use of AI is strategic. It's not just in terms of trying to ease processes, make processes more to increase productivity. It's strategic in nature. Let's move on to Middle East and look at what they call Mohammed bin Zayed University. Next slide, please. Okay, this is Mohammed bin Zayed University of Artificial Intelligence. The university itself is artificial intelligence. Yeah, it was established last year. This is a fully AI native institution, entirely focused on AI, research driven for AI, and globally positioned as an AI center of excellence. This is what it is. But unfortunately, it is not Tawhidic in nature at all. Nothing Tawhidic in there is going on. It's all secular in nature. So even though it is supposed to be a university for AI, but in an Arab country, but there's nothing what they call Islamic about it. It's totally secular. Students here are building models that directly influence real-world systems from healthcare to governance or whatever, etc. kind of thing. Coming closer to home, because I'm from AU, I'll talk a little bit about AU. Let me talk a little bit about AU, just to give a little bit of any background. Next slide, please. AU, we were established as a university under the Asia Cooperation Dialogue. It's a Malaysian government project under the Asian Cooperation Dialogue. Just to give a brief history. Asian Cooperation Dialogue, for those of you too young, was established what they call in 1998. Remember there was a currency crisis? Those who are old enough, you will remember a currency crisis where the so-called Asian tigers were attacked by the Western countries. So Thaksin at that time was the Prime Minister of Thailand, and he invited all the Asian countries, all the ASEAN countries, plus the 6 Asian countries who were partners to ASEAN. So at that what they call discussion, they established the Asia Cooperation Dialogue, said that let's cooperate outside the ASEAN Charter. Let's cooperate outside the ASEAN Charter for us to tackle the currency crisis. So there was this dialogue mode, project mode of tackling what they call the problems of currency crisis together for mutual benefit of Asia. In 2002, when most of the what you call the problems were already settled as far as currency crisis is concerned, they had a meeting in Bangkok where Thaksin chaired it and said, that, do we continue with this dialogue format, or do we just put this to sleep, and continue with our old way of doing things under ASEAN? Many countries felt that it's good to have this dialogue continuing. So the Asia Cooperation Dialogue was formalized as a cooperative dialogue. They asked each of the countries to put up projects of mutual interest for Asia, not ASEAN, mutual interest for Asia. So Malaysia put up the paper talking about e-education at that time. This was talking in 2002. This is long before what they call Coursera, long before people talk about digital universities, etc. Kind of thing. Actually, we put up three. I'll tell you the three because I was involved in the history from the very beginning. One was, of course, we put up on e-education. Bank Negara put up on what they call infrastructure bond, Asian infrastructure bond. Imagine in 2002. Unfortunately, never took off. But now China is leading as far as infrastructure bonds are concerned. And MITI at that time put up on e-commerce in 2002, long before Alibaba came onto the scene, 2002. All three projects were accepted and Malaysia put up under the Asia Cooperation Dialogue. E-education, infrastructure bond, as well as what they call an e-commerce platform. Unfortunately, MITI didn't follow through. Bank Negara didn't follow through. Only Mohe, KPT followed through. And that's why we established the Asia University. The other two were left for other countries to take up, even though we were the initiators and proposers of that project. So this is a university that has been established under the Asia Cooperation Dialogue for Asian people, not just for Malaysians. And we at that time said that we will utilize and will become very much technology-centric university rather than traditional university, because that's a cheaper way for us to go global, etc. kind of thing. So for us, in terms of what we call being AI native, next slide, please. For us, being AI native is the strategic what we call transformation. We have no choice. This again, I use what they call notebook LLM to give us our journey in terms of phase, in terms of building the foundation and scaling up the university to roll out within 12 months. Now, 12 months is a very tight schedule to become an AI native university, even for us, although our DNA is what they call this e-learning. From the very beginning, we have been in this what they call in this space, but nevertheless, we have to do this whether we like it or not. So we are basically building this on a very simple premise, simple idea. Students should not just navigate complex systems, on their own and just grappling around on their own, but they should be able to ask and use AI ethically. That's the most important. Ask and use AI ethically in solving complex global problems right now. And the university responds to it intelligently using AI. The next slide, please. So in our what you call in the way that we are moving forward, we are talking about what you call 4 pillars as far as we are concerned: digital governance and leadership, human-centered digital pedagogy, because we said it must be human-centered, not just digital pedagogy, but human-centered. Yeah, we don't talk it about humanized, we talk it human-centered digital pedagogy, sustainable and smart education. I use the term smart education because we are a member of the Global Smart Education Partnership, what they call, which is based in China. And in China, what do you call AI-enabled education is called smart education. So I'm just using that term here. But here we're talking about sustainable smart education, global smart education. Of course, ethical AI and quality assured is the way that we think of our what we call digital education at AAU. Next slide, please. So I've just given you a background of what we are talking about, So in AU, for example, we make sure that, and now even research is showing that AI should become the infrastructure of the university. We talk about some use the term infrastructure, but become infrastructure of the university. If you use Bill Gates' what they call terminology, it should become the university nervous system. So in other words, it spreads right across in every aspect of it, and it's the fastest one to respond. So that's very important. But for AU, we talk about values-driven. First, architecture with clear ethical and guardrails in the use of AI. That's for us. But now let's look at what they call at what the others have done and how we can move in terms of building one anchored in Tawheed. So that's why I use this term, implementing a Tawheedic native AI. All right. So the concept of nativeness here is basically, I'm using the same concept when we talk about digital natives. Yeah. If you remember, many of us in this room here are actually migrants, digital migrants. We came from the analog age and we migrated into a digital world, you know. But the children who were born from the late 70s onwards, when the computer was there, etc., they are called the digital natives. They're born in the space. And I think you know now, when you look at kids now, at the age of what, 1, 2 years old, they're already, you know, digital, etc., playing with tablets, etc., kind of thing. And parents use the what they call the devices to babysit the child more than anything else. So they are the digital natives. So how do you make this? How do you make it native in that context? Yeah, in terms of what they call the university becoming a native of digital. In other words, the university are now all still in the analog age. How do you become, you know, a migrant and become a native in terms of AI? Because we all came from a non-AI age. We are moving into AI age. Now this is very important. Yeah, I've got Rasli. This is very important because I think Tengku, you will agree with me, and those people in the IT business, you know, IT business will agree with me. The next tectonic shift is coming. You can already see it, which is what they call quantum computing. Yeah, it's going to have a bigger impact than AI for sure. And there are already now 1 or 2 products coming out using QC, yeah, quantum computing. So if we do not migrate now into the AI, what they call mode, it will be more difficult for us to leapfrog to the QC mode. Yeah. So because you're moving away from the binary world, because when it talks about quantum, Tonko, you can correct me. When you come to the quantum computing, you're moving away from the binary world. Because we've been in the binary world for the last what, 50 years or so? So you're going to move away from the binary world. So there's begun a big shift, you know, in everything that we do. Past, we don't need to meet anymore. You know, our avatars will be meeting, our holograms will be meeting at meetings kind of thing, you know, and interacting, etc. Under the new system when you talk about quantum computing. It is, people are predicting that by 2030, the 2030s will be the years in which the quantum, what they call, computing will start getting impacting into our life, the way we live, the way we learn, the way we do things. Don't forget, AI has been around for the last 50 years or so. It's only the last 3 years that we see a massive, what they call, upgrade of people moving into AI and all the tools of the AI. Now let me move into the what they call my presentation, which is basically, I'm very nervous because I'm just a student here. Dato, you know, the professor is here, the professor, the Agong is here. Okay, let's talk about the chronic foundation of knowledge. Chronic foundation of knowledge begins with Allah, of course. You know, whether you like it or not, when you talk about Iqra, Bismi Rabbikal Ladzi Khalaq, yeah. When you talk about the surah, and when you talk about what they call it begins, the foundation of knowledge begins for us, Muslims, with Iqra itself. The first command is not merely to read Iqra, but to read in the name of Allah. You know, that means knowledge is never neutral, never detached from its source, and never value free. AI-assisted knowledge, therefore, systems in an Islamic university must be anchored in this divine orientation, not only in terms of computational capabilities or data points. Because I think we tend to think of data points. It cannot be in terms of data points. Okay. Next slide, please. The other foundation that we must have in terms of dignity and responsibility of knowing in Surah Al-Zumar, you know, we have this what they call a particular surah talking about, you know, whether those who have knowledge are equal to those who do not have knowledge. And, you know, Allah says very clearly that those who have knowledge are people of understanding and who become ulul albab. The concept of ulul albab itself is extremely important kind of thing. So this is the concept of dignity and responsibility of knowledge, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala positions those people with knowledge much higher than those people who are ignorant. So Islam honors knowledge, but not as a data accumulation alone. This verse links knowing, reason, remembrance, and moral consciousness. Therefore, AI implementation must aim beyond automation towards wisdom, discernment, and ulul albab formation. So it's a lot more value driven rather than data driven. Sector kind of thing. The next concept of from Quranic foundation, we talk about the concept of Khalifa. Next slide, please. When Allah talk about Ja'ilun fil ard Khalifa, you know, talking about Khalifa itself. When we talk in Surah Al-Azab, he's talking about, you know, Amana, because, you know, we talk about the concept of Amana. So the concept of Khalifa and Amana, Allah declares that humanity is Khalifa on earth, and humanity bears this Amana or trust. Right? Because remember, the mountains refuse to trust as well. But we humans, mankind, insan, we accepted this, what they call this amanah, to be the Khalifa kind of thing. So implication here is that AI governance in Islamic university should be built around two principles. The concept of amanah, humans remain morally responsible stewards. Khalifa, humans remain morally responsible stewards, and amanah, knowledge, data, decision-making are trust, not commodities. This means no AI decides for us. That's a very important concept. Not AI decides for us, culture. Human beings remain accountable before Allah for what AI is trained on, used for, normalized, and rewarded. So it's a very different shift from being very AI-centric and more than anything else. In terms of the what they call the Sunnah, prophetic foundation for Tawhidic AI and ethics kind of thing, we have of course innamal a'malu binniyat itself. Next slide, please. Also, okay, actions are but by intentions, with the concept of what the seeking of knowledge and how Allah makes easy for him on for a path to paradise in terms of what they call seeking knowledge. And of course, Allah prescribed insan, in all things kind of thing, ihsan in all kinds of things. So the concept of ihsan itself is extremely important when we talk about knowledge and we talk about human development, etc., and all that kind of thing. So a Tawhidic AI plan must therefore be nested with niyah, ilm, and ihsan. This to me, my context of how I define the Tawhidic AI kind of thing. Let's move on. Next slide, please. So what's the core AI question here? Not how we adopt AI, because adaptation of AI is not the answer here, because if we're talking about being a Tawhidic, what they call native university, but how do we humanize AI through Tawhid? That's more important than anything else. Next slide, please. I couldn't resist what they call quoting some of the great what they call professors in UIE itself. So I thought I start with my mentor himself, Professor Dato Osman himself, because I think his books are very, very relevant and his writings very well. He sends me almost very often. Everyone he will send me in WhatsApp to me. Sometimes it takes me 3-4 days to read this paper because panjang paper apa ni Dato ni. Nak faham kadang-kadang it takes me another week to faham Dato. So a bit difficult. Anyway, Prof. Dato Osman's work argues that Tawhid provides the unifying metaphysical vision that reconnects science, ethics, nature, and civilization. His books, Tawhid and Science, and Environmental Wisdom for Planet Earth, emphasize that knowledge must remain integrated with spiritual meaning and civilizational responsibility. Therefore, if we want to adopt this concept of what they call Osmanic concept in our AI plan, AI curriculum should not separate computing from ethics or innovation from metaphysics. Must be combined. Scientific and technical disciplines should be refrained within a unity of knowledge approach, and AI should be presented as part of a wider moral ecology, in not merely a market skill. So with Dato Osman's what they call thought here, Islamic thought here, Tawhid becomes not a slogan added to technology, but the worldview that orders technology itself. So slightly different concept kind of thing. Then I had to also quote, our late arwah, Royal Professor Said Nagib Alatas, because you cannot run away from from him. Alatas argued the crisis of human education is fundamentally a loss of adab, and that true education is not mere training or information transfer, but the formation of the just, disciplined, spiritually grounded human being. His concept of education in Islam and Islam and secularism is something I took a long time to read and understand. Islam and secularism are central reference points for this view. So if we want to incorporate Al-Atas into this AI plan, AI must not reduce knowledge to researchable fragments. Education must restore hierarchies of meaning, reveal knowledge, moral truth, discipline, reason, and proper conduct. The objective is not the most AI skilled graduate, but the most rightly guided, well-ordered graduate with adab. That's very, very important. So Professor Al-Atas terms, the danger is not only bad technology. When you use AI wrongly, it becomes a bad technology. It is a production of clever minds without any adab. A technology of clever minds without any adab. So the emphasis on adab. I took his concept of emphasis on adab kind of thing. I could not avoid, and I felt that, I'm obligated to also quote about what late Arwah Kamal Hassan. I had a lot of discussions with him when he was here and before that as well. Prof. Kamal helped institutions in the integration of revealed knowledge and human sciences, particularly here at IIUM, and is closely associated with the Islamization, integration of knowledge, holistic education, and ethical formation. He stressed a lot on values such as iqra, amana, khalifa, integrity, and purification of the soul. This is something that he was very well known for. So if you want to use Prof. Kamal's what he call concepts and ideas in this AI plan, do not build a narrow AI strategy. Build a whole university transformation. Every faculty should integrate Islamic worldview, ethics, and contemporary relevance. AI adoption must be linked to character, integrity, and service to society. So in Prof. Kamal's spirit, AI implementation must be integrative, value-laden, and relevantized to prevent realities without surrendering Islamic foundations. Next slide, please. Al-Ghazali says that knowledge must lead to purification, devotion, inner transformation, not vanity. His Ihya Yawmiddin united religious learning with spiritual discipline. Ibn Khaldun, we all know about the Muqaddimah, remains important for thinking about civilization, pedagogy, and the formation of competent human beings within real social systems. Let's move on to what you call, I would say, principles of Tawhidic AI governance. Okay. Again, I use notebook LLM to give me a much more beautiful slide than compared to the slide that I prepared in terms of PPT kind of thing. So the Tawhidic principle model, we want to use the Tawhid, all knowledge is ordered under the oneness of Allah. That's very important. The universal oneness kind of thing. Secondly, in terms of adab, because this is where Royal Professor, what you call Atas talking about in terms of adab, right action, right place, right hierarchy, right purpose in terms of knowledge. Third is the concept amana, accountability, because we are Khalifa and we have the amana, accountability, integrity, and trustworthiness. And fourth is the maqasid in terms of oriented benefit. AI must serve human flourishing, not merely efficiency. That's very important kind of thing. So I think the purpose, the moral purpose and stewardship becomes very important in terms of human accountability, and accountability also becomes very important. Next slide, please. So what about the university architecture? So AI must enhance human dignity and not to replace it. That's very important. All right. So you must have this holistic learner model. Very important. AI is at the core of everything that we do. Intelligent agents and personalized tutors. This, supports the teaching and learning, allowing the growth of Islamic and modern sciences. We integrate that. Was what Prof. Dato Osman's talking about, integration, making sure it is within the framework of Tawhidic framework kind of thing, and having the ethical governance. That's extremely what do you call it? So when Allah talk about, walaqad karrama bani Adam, we have certainly honored the children of Adam. So this is what we're saying, that if we have this kind of tawhidic, what they call AI approach and framework, it should honor karama of the bani Adam. So next one, please. Okay, I put this as the tawhidic, what they call the AI framework, the framework itself. There are many parts of it. You have, of course, in terms of the governance itself and Sharia ethics framework. So in terms of our policy, our ethics review process, data governance, all those details that goes down there. And then the other one, very important one, in terms of teaching and learning, our curriculum and pedagogy, in terms of not just in terms of the skills, but having also adab and authorship modules, and in terms of what they call ethics, etc., in terms of that context kind of thing. Of course, when you talk about university, there's research and knowledge development kind of thing. Again, it must be within the Islamic ethos. That's extremely important. And using AI tools to help you to develop those knowledge, etc., kind of thing. Pillar 4, we of course capacity building. I think whether you like it or not, we have to all move to capacity building. Our faculty, our support staff, our students to have the right kind of skills and capabilities on knowing what is right and what is wrong in terms of what they call use of AI. And fourthly, I think we should also be not looking just internally, but looking outwards from the campus itself in innovation for ummah and society. In other words, AI for education access, etc. kind of thing. Because AI opens education access. But I think we are also looking at, how can we have a greater outreach in terms of what we call the products that come out from the university, greater outreach using AI itself, kind of thing. Next slide, please. So this is very, very clear what you call framework. So I want to just go to some of the pillars kind of thing. So these are all the things that need to be done there. In terms of governance and Sharia, I think the guardrails are very, very important. And academic integrity protocols are extremely important. That's what I wanted to highlight here. Next slide, the next pillar, please. Into the curriculum and pedagogy, again, Tawhidic framework in every program, in every course that you have, having the Tawhidic framing is extremely important. And adab in terms of what they call, in terms of acquisition knowledge, transmission knowledge, etc., and all that kind of thing. And this is where authorship, honesty, etc., and all that can comes in. Next pillar, please. Research and knowledge we talk about here. I think here we talk about curated Islamic source libraries. We talk about CTAIS as well. It can be something that's research and knowledge development, such kind of thing. So we can use AI tools here to do a lot of the work, that needs to be done, etc., and all that kind of thing. The pillar 4. Here we talk about capacity building itself. I think you need leadership seminars in terms of use of AI, whether you like it or not, and community engagement, whether you would like it or not. And finally, pillar 5. Okay, here we have in terms of AI that can be used for social work as well, in terms of waqaf, zakat, other social work you talk about, and AI for community develop itself. This is the outreach that what they call the university can do for the what they call for the ummah itself, using and leveraging on AI, on Tawhidic AI concept. Next slide, please. I think in this framing, the role of the academic will have to change slightly. You have to become a murabbi. You're already a murabbi, but you have to become a murabbi in the right kind of concepts. But another important factor is the mu'addib. I think the adab side. I think that's something that we lack at the moment, So there's something that we have to think about in terms of role of academic. And finally, we have to be the ethical anchor, whether we like it or not, because each of us is a shepherd, and we are responsible for our flock, as the hadith Mutafakkin Ali says, kind of thing. So this is the role of the academic itself. Generally, I'm not going to details in terms of this. The other slide, next slide, please, talks about what they call academic integrity itself. So you must use the AI is used and must be declared where it is used, kind of thing. You must be able to get distinguish between assistance and authorship. Because is it the AI which is authoring it, or are you using AI to assist you in authoring it? And in AU, for example, we have got all these ethical guidelines. We actually encourage our doctoral students, our research students, to use AI as much as possible, but ethical use of AI, transparency in terms of use of AI, and also declaration how to use the AI, etc., and all that kind of thing. The other one, of course, we have to redesign our assessment so that it can reflect more in terms of what they call the true authentic learning that has taken place. And we have also within our ethics framework to ensure there's no hallucination by the AI that you use itself. I will tell Sufyan, my assistant, he was helping me with some of the what they call AI, tools. And often we find that the AI tool itself goes on a tangent, taking points in which items I myself never put as a point. They bawa masuk new extra points which actually makes no sense, and we have to remove it, kind of thing. So this hallucination does happen quite often. So I think this is a serious relation of mana itself. Next slide, please. So we talk about what they call about introducing this framework within the university itself. When we talk about teaching and learning, etc., and all that kind of thing, the AI focus here in terms of teaching and learning should be in terms of what they call guided tutoring, formative feedback, adaptive revision, multilingual support, as well as AI learning tools. So these are all things that you need to have when you want to talk about your university becoming more AI focused, whether you like it or not. So I see a lot of work for what they call CTAIS, in this context. When it comes to research itself, next slide, please. AI focus in terms of research itself, it can use for literature mapping, for what they call summarization, for coding support, transcription, translation, data exploration. I mean, in our university, we ask them to use AI even for the citations. APA citations, use AI even for what they call for summarizing, use AI even for analytics, etc., and all that kind of thing. But they declare the use of AI and what was their input. So we also want to look their workings as they move around it. So we do a lot more of that. Next slide, please. AI in terms of administration, the support staff, in terms of support staff, student advisory services, your FAQ that you can automate, etc. kind of thing. You can have bots there. You can have agentic AI there to allow things to happen, kind of thing. Your workflow, actually there are AIs now that you can actually change your workflows and check it out and see whether it works in the university or not. You don't have to experiment, you can experimentally, do it, simulate it and see what happens, kind of thing. So workflow AIs now, kind of thing. Analytics, Analytics here, I put in a broad context. It could be learning analytics. In other words, how well are your students learning? Could be teaching analytics, how well your teachers are teaching. MSc analytics, your what they call your business analytics, any aspect analytics. We call these are big data, and you can analyze those big data. So you can have what they call descriptive, describing your how status is. You can have what they call prescriptive. In other words, saying that this is what is going you need to do. It can also be predictive. Students are going to fail. Upfront, the students are going to fail. So how do you go and prescribe and give, take what you call mitigation, the student does not fail kind of thing. So you can use AI for this kind of administrative into teaching and learning kind of thing. Okay, so I mentioned just now about authentic learning and measuring, in terms of what they call assessment. I'm giving this talk tomorrow at the global forum in what they call in Oman, Muscat. Rethinking assessment in the age of AI kind of thing. Because they're talking about how do we rethink how we our instruments of assessment kind of thing. So next slide will show a little bit about it. Just a prelude for it. The core problem now, as I said, as I'm saying in this presentation, the AI can write essays, solve complex problems, analyze case studies, generate reports all in seconds and minutes and at scale and at very good quality. Actually, the grammar is extremely good. In fact, if we read a report now, then the grammar is very, very good. It's AI generated, right? Then the breakdown, But output, so what you're seeing now, the core problem is that output is no longer evidential learning. Previously, our assessment system saying that, if you can give us an essay, very good. If you can write a report, very good. So it's output driven kind of thing. Submission is no longer proof of understanding. So the core disruption that AI has done in higher education is that it's changed all this. Next slide, please. So because why? As I said just now, much earlier, about all the statistics that is going on. So it is not a question of misconduct. It's not a question that students are cheating using AI. The tool is there. So why do you prevent them from using the tool? It's just that, so this is normalized behavior. The real crisis actually is our assessment systems, our assessment instruments are no longer valid. That is the issue. Because we're still using systems pre-AI compared to post-AI. That's what it's all about. With a different paradigm right now. Next slide, please. So we have, what does it translate into? So you move from exams to knowledge and wisdom, from memory to responsibility. This is what it's all about. So it's not just a memory recall. It's got to be more reflective. I'll go next slide, please. So authentic learning, how do you test authentic learning? It's no more producing answers, but actually moving towards demonstrating thinking, exercising judgment, applying contextual understanding, acting with ethical awareness. So there's a fundamental shift from last time we are product driven, now we are process driven. So the process of learning is what we need to examine now and measure, not the product, the end product that comes on, the output that comes off. So slightly different. So it's a totally different paradigm that we have to move into. And that was what we call authentic assessment. Because now we know there's authentic learning that's taking place. Next slide, please. So I've not been trying to be prescriptive. I'm just being very general in terms of implementation roadmap based on experiences throughout other parts of the world, etc. kind of thing. Maybe for the first 3 months, if IIUM wants to go on this track of Tawhidi native AI approach, have a approved AI policy and ethical framework, very, very important. Create the governance structure, identify the pilot faculties, maybe 1 or 2 pilot faculties to start the thing, develop the training methods required for both staff, students, as well as academic staff. Map out the risks, very important. Map out the risks and prioritize use cases guidelines. That's very, very important at this early level. Because if you start by knowing the risk, then you can mitigate it. Because if you don't know, then it's going to be a problem. Next slide, please. So here we talk about implementation roadmap. This normally takes about another quarter kind of thing. So do your staff training, your what you call student training. A lot of people emphasize on literacy. Yeah, in other words, they were talking about just AI skills itself. I think you should go with literacy and ethics. It has go hand in hand. So do not emphasize just on the skills, how to use Claude, how to use Grok, how to use the LLM kind of thing, but the ethical use of Grok. The ethical use of Claude or Gemini or Copilot or whatever, or DeepSeek, whatever AI you want to use, and how to use it ethically for your work, your task, whether you're a staff or whether a student, how to use it ethically. Pilot AI tutors, this is something very important because we talk about tutoring. The AI now can do tutoring. Now you can personalize the tutoring. So pilot is AI tutors. Now AI tutors can be generic, what you call generic AI tutors, Gen AI tutors, or can be agentic AI tutors. But I would suggest you go to Gen AI tutors first before you go to agentic AI because it's another level kind of thing. And you can, apart from tutoring itself, you can use AI as research for your research itself. So your AI research assistant. Rather than having an RA now, a human being, you can actually have an AI research assistant to do all your research kind of thing. So what kind of support tools are required for that? I myself use around 5 different AI, what do you call it? Because whatever I prepare, I normally put into Grok. Grok is Elon Musk punya AI. Okay, it thinks out of the box, just like Elon Musk thinks out of the box. Yeah, and I ask Grok to challenge my presentation or to challenge my thought, and Grok will come up with all the challenges, etc. Then I go and repair back what I need to repair. So I think that challenging is very important. So ask AI, you challenge AI and ask AI to challenge what your thought process. You can debate with AI. Have your debate with AI. And from one AI, you take it and put it into another AI instrument and say that challenge the validity of this assumption, and to tell you whether it's valid or not valid, how to improve on it, etc. So I think the idea here is that do not just limit yourself to ChatGPT. It's only one AI agent which is out there. There's so many others, and each of them got their own strengths. For example, if you're doing market research, Perplexity is even better for market research. If you're doing in terms of just looking at a project, paper, etc., Gemini can do very good work in terms of Gemini kind of thing. So it depends whether you want to use Gemini, you want to use Claude, you want to use Grok, you want to use DeepSeek, and I always use DeepSeek for anything Asian based. Because anything I want from China, I use DeepSeek. What's China AI? So it can now go and fish out from China, the materials from China, from Asia, etc. kind of thing. GPT will not get you the same material, but DeepSeek can get you those materials. So that's what we're talking about here in terms of what they call research support tools, yeah, in terms of AI support. So embedded disclosure rules, and this is very important. You must have your disclosure rules, and we make it very clear. That's what academic integrity is all about, yeah. So they can check on it and create an Islamic source validation workflow. So that's very, very important for you to have within your roadmap itself. Next slide, please. We are now talking of scaling. So because once you got it on the pilot, etc., kind of thing, you expand to more faculties, integrate the ADAP, AI module into core curriculum development. That's extremely important. Establish research clusters, internal grants, those kind. So these are all things that you can have in terms of scaling up. And then finally, the last phase. All right, in terms of institutionalization, so this is where you come with your KPIs, you fine tune your AI policy, publish your model. I think it's very important that IIUM, if you were to go on this Tauhidic AI concept, is to at all times keep publishing, keep engaging globally, because you are now, engaging the global community and becoming a global leader as far as Tauhidic AI is concerned. Even those work in progress, that is the way to move forward, and you can become a great case study and a reference points as you're moving ahead. Next slide, please. I'm talking about a bit about, so this is basically a summary. Again, I use Notebook LLM. Notebook LLM is extremely good, for this kind of summaries, infographic. You can actually even do podcast for you. You want it to be podcast, you can podcast for you as well. So what you call, so this is basically a summary in terms of, all the various steps that need to be done. So that in the end of the day, you become a global or regional reference positioning as far as Tauhid AI is concerned. Next slide, please. Okay, the KPIs. Again, I didn't want to be prescriptive here. I'm just giving general KPIs in terms of each what they call of the domains that we are talking about. So in terms, we talk about educational, percentage of students completing AI adapt literacy, for example. Number of staff who have been trained, number of courses have been redesigned with AI in what you call in the loop, etc. kind of thing. Improvement of student engagement, student feedback, etc. in terms of education and teaching and kind of thing. Integrity, disclosure of compliance rates, reduction in misconduct cases, particularly AI supported work, research publications on Islamic ethics and AI, grants and partnerships, impact, study confidence of AI use, employee recognition, etc. So these are things like that you can do in terms of KPI. I think you can design your own KPIs as you move along. Next slide, please. We talk about a little bit about what they call safeguarding Islamic AI integration. This is where you talk about the theological aspect that needs to be there, operational aspect needs to be there, and AI governance. So these are part and parcel of your KPIs that you want to make sure that you are in there within that period as well. Again, this is a notebook LLM, which sometimes tries to over design, yeah, and over graphic, yeah, a lot more graphical than we actually need to use, yeah, kind of thing. Tends to overdo it, although we ask it to tone it down, but still it will do this kind of things. Yeah, carry on. Next slide, please. Okay, so again, in terms of navigating AI safeguards in Islamic framework, you're talking of all those aspects that I mentioned just now. This could be all part and parcel of your respective KPIs that you can come up with. Next slide, please. Okay, so now just come to the what you call the closing for today. I hope I have done justice to what you expect from me. So a truly Islamic university should not merely consume AI created elsewhere on other people's moral compass and terms. It should help shape AI through a worldview in which knowledge is trust, learning is worship, excellence is ihsan, humanity is khalifa, and all inquiry returns to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That should be the promise of an adab-based Tawhidic AI plan. So we are here today so that we can have a truly Islamic university, not just merely consume AI, but it to be show something that which is something unique in the world. And I think IIUM and CTAIS is in a position where you can be at the forefront of developing this concept of a Tawhidic AI. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Dato, for the insightful and very thought-provoking lecture. And I think that CTAIS has a lot to learn from Dato. It should also, we now open the floor for question and answers. We have until about 12:15, so we have 5 minutes extra. Initially, it was 12 until 12:15, but we have ended earlier, 5 minutes earlier. So may I kindly invite questions from the audience if there are any? So can I just have a show of hands? 1, 2, 1, 2.
The easy ones I answered.
So do we have only 2 questions? There will be more. We start with 2. We have until 12:15. Okay, so if I can begin with you, and please introduce yourself first before forwarding your question.
Thank you very much. My name is Ahmed Nazaruddin. I am with IIUM Holdings. So I'm not with the academic part of the university, but I'm with the commercial arm of the university. And Prof. Ansary, based on the slides that you presented, had these slides been presented to Thaksin during the ASEAN Cooperative Dialogue, he would have proved this for implementation within the 12 months. But my question is this: how do we, meaning the university, ensure that we don't merely fall into the trap of jumping into the AI bandwagon, merely keeping up with the Joneses, merely repeating what the other universities are doing with AI? My angle is this, Prof. We want to avoid greenwashing, where we say the right things, we use the right terms, but inside it's not there. So that's my question. Thank you.
Okay, yang minta answer. Okay, thank you very much apa ni Saudara Ahmad Nazaruddin. Okay, I think it's not a question of jumping on the bandwagon, because the train has already left the what you call the station here. Because where AI is concerned, the train already left the station. It's whether we want to be on the train, or whether we want to be standing on the station looking at the train. Now it's all bullet trains. In China, all bullet trains, all very fast trains. All these fast trains which are moving. And I think if you talk about, Tengku Sumbu, you can correct me. LLM large language models came about only about what, 28 months to 30 months ago. AI itself was there 30 years ago. All right. It's only with the what they call the incoming of LLM, in which computers now we can converse with it rather than program it, etc. kind of thing, that this has become, has exploded. Use of AI has exploded, and applications of AI has exploded because of LLM. And now we're now seeing hyperscalers, etc., all over the world. And when Malaysia want to become a center for all the data centers kind of thing, consuming so much energy, etc., kind of thing, because all LLM. Every question, by the way, every question you post into LLM, the amount of energy it requires, is really tremendous. It's actually not eco-friendly at all. We talk about AI in that context. It's not a green technology in that context. But as far as university is concerned, we are not jumping on the bandwagon here. We're saying that, this is technology which everyone, whether you like it or not, using it. It's just like, you got a what you call a computer here in your hands. It's whether you use it or not. Yeah, mobile learning, for example. You can use this device for your learning if you want to use it as a learning device. That's not jumping on the bandwagon. The facility is there, the device is there. But let me tell you this, that at the end of the day, you're talking acculturation. We talk about, internal values kind of thing. So acculturation of the use of technology for the benefit of mankind. That's what it is. Technology today is AI. Tomorrow is going to be QC. It's going to be quantum computing. Technology is ever changing. It doesn't stop. It's ever changing. So it's acculturation of being comfortable in adopting and towards AI, embracing AI, and using it for the right purpose. That's where the Tawhidi concept comes in. In other words, using AI, because it's a double-edged sword. It can be bad, it can be good as well. So we're using it in this concept, Tawhidi concept, where you're using it for the better. For a university, you're on the business of knowledge creation. You're on the business of knowledge preservation. You're on the business of knowledge transmission, etc. kind of thing. So you should be using all tools available. You're a Khalifa. That's your amanah. It's a fardu kifaya for us. Are we not going to have our own sovereign AI? I mean, yesterday PMX in what you call UCSI was talking about you're spending 2 billion as well developing a sovereign AI. In other words, you want to make sure that Malaysia has got its own AI, protecting our own what you call sensitive data, etc., and all that kind of thing. In the same context, I think we being part of the Ummah, and I noticed the signboard here talking Ummati excellence, if we want to be proponent of Ummati excellence, then it's got fardu kifaya on us to master this technology, to use the technology in the right context. Even though we may be latecomers, only latecomers jump on the bandwagon. We may be late, at the train station, but we're going to jump on it and we're going to be the driver of the train. That's what it's all about. And because we will be better drivers, because we have this notion of Tawheed that others don't have. So do we surrender this technology, this power, to others who are non-Islamic, or do we take control of it? And I think you all agree with me, it's for the kifaya that there must be experts and masters in this space as well, that we control it. That's the idea that I have in terms of IIUM being at the forefront, being an Islamic university at the forefront of doing this more than anything else. I hope I've answered the question. Now, if you are the forefront of this, then you become the progenitor of introducing this to the ummah and keeping control of it and keeping a balance between those which are not tawhidic and those which are tawhidic. Just like in the US, when you talk about the various what you call AI providers, when you talk about anthropic AI, it's much more values driven than the other AIs which are non-anthropic. Yeah, so anthropic, and we use anthropic AI, for example, like Claude, if you want to have answers which are more ethical, right? Because it doesn't hallucinate. Use Grok. Grok can be very sexist. Grok can be very racist in its responses because he's more like Elon Musk. He's autistic as well. Kan Elon Musk is autistic. Dia thought process dia lain sikit. So his AI reflects his personality. Yeah, kind of thing. So I think this is where I strongly believe that it's a window, it's an opportunity. It's a vacuum right now, and for example, you say MBZ, Artificial Intelligence University. It's secular in nature. It is, even though they have all the money investing so much, it is not tawhidic in nature. And we have a lot of great minds here, even in this room here. There is the opportunity, for us to move forward. Why don't they come together? And I think with Dato's leadership here, which is actually a global thinker as well, Dato' Osman, he can bring more global, what they call thinkers on board to develop this Tawhidic the concept. It's not just something that is within IIUM punya community, but IIM unit community being the core and expanding outwards and bringing more and more global thought leaders in the space. Thank you.
Inshallah. Okay, so now I welcome. Yeah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum, Prof. Dato. Ansary, very, very insightful lecture. I'm very glad that Dato Rector asked us all to come here today. Alhamdulillah, thank you. From the perspective of administrator, Prof, yeah, because your framework just now is about very much into academic governance and framework and all that. Because I'm worried when you mentioned about the integrity, the ethics part of using AI. As an accountant myself, I'm also worried, how the students are actually learning accountancy programs and using AI to understand the principles of accountancy and actually later on to audit a company and to give an audit opinion to qualify or unqualify the organizations. So I think this framework is a very, very good, I think, proposal for CTAIS. And I think, Dato, what I'm worried now is that for the students, yes, we have to coach them and we have to have that framework. But for the staff right now, administrators as well, I hope the framework that you have put in is going to incorporate the administration part as well, Dato' Rector, because we are at the administration side, some of them are very resistant to jump into this technology and use it because they felt that they feel they are still very good at it, but you have no choice but to use it because I can tell you, Prof, like what you said, I can do the financial analysis in less than 2 minutes for a 5-year data. I cannot wait for my accountants to provide to me the 5-year analysis in 2-day time. So how can we actually incorporate the administration part? I'm not sure whether Asia E-University has that in your platform right now in terms of the admin officers managing the Asia e-finance, HR, etc. And how can we actually incorporate in our framework later by CTIs? If you can share your experience in that manner, Prof.
Thank you for the question. I think, of course, being an academic, I emphasize more on the academic side, teaching, learning, etc. kind of thing. But I think the support staff is an integral part of the university itself. Without support staff, the university will not be able to function. And in our university itself, what we are doing at the moment now in terms of our AI, native AI journey, is that we're exposing all of them to all the AI, what they call tools. First of all, we start with the AI tools, skills itself, because you need to have the skills set to what they call to understanding. Once you got a skill set, then we bring in the ethics portion of it, how to use it ethically, kind of thing. So today we have got within our what they call a community in AU itself, staff which are embracing AI and using it as much as possible. And I can see in their reports that come to me, I always challenge them, have you checked this, have you challenged it with AI or not? So yeah, I've challenged it, this is what it comes out. And then the staff was still in the traditional mode of not using the technology because they fear. Now it will come to the same thing as, as anything else as far as technology is concerned. If the technology can do the job better than you, then why do I need you? Right? It's basic. Any employer, any employer will looking at it from that perspective, right? If I can do things faster, more productively, more efficiently, more accurately, without taking medical leave, without being sick, without and that kind of thing, no problems, no human problems, that kind of thing. I can do that more efficiently. Why don't I use that? I mean, if for example, Sufyan helps me with Claude and what you call Excel sheets. So when I do what you call predictive, what you call flow charts kind of thing, cash flows kind of thing. So he helps me with Claude, and we can do things a lot faster using Claude, kind of thing. Then if you do it humanly, you want to do it, and we can get answers within 1 minute, 2 minutes, in a few seconds, etc. kind of thing. So productivity goes up, very much go up. But in all this, at the end of the day, the fear factor that humans have is a normal reaction to anything which is new. Normal reaction. But if you do not encourage your staff, to embrace it, as a university, you'll be falling behind in terms of productivity compared to others. That's number one. Number two, your operating costs will be much higher as well because you're engaging people where you can engage technology, I remember that there's one quote, that I like to use in our context kind of thing. Because for us to develop an online content, those days, Ramli, you should know, in the ODL mode, when Ramli and I started Open University Malaysia, to develop the online content, we got to have subject matter expert, number one. Number two, we have another subject matter expert to moderate the content written by the first fellow. Okay. Number three, we got to have instructional designer. Now to design the whole subject matter into the proper instructional design. Number four, we got to have the videographer to come and video stuff, etc., and all that kind of thing. Number five, we got to have what they call the the multimedia programmer to program the whole thing. And then number six, we got to have the quality assurance that goes in. The process, you remember, Ramli? 6 months. I remember when I went to Hong Kong Open University, those days, in the early days of Open University, they take 18 months to develop one content. Imagine the time factor that they need to put, etc. and all that. Today at AU, we are doing it in 3 days and 4 days using AI. All right. I just have to have, say 3 minutes of Dato presenting, just like just now presenting, just 3 minutes. I can develop an avatar of his in seconds, and he can give all other lectures already. I just have to put in the PowerPoint, and he will be standing there presenting it as though he is actually presenting it. We can do it in a few minutes. So this is what technology is all about. So are you going to say that I don't want to do it? I don't want to master it? So you become much more productive, So staff will only be employable if they can use this tool, because you have to have the human in the loop. If they can use this tool to in the task. If they cannot use the tool, then out you go. You're being very blunt. You're being very blunt. But that's the reality. That's the reality. Okay, that's number one. Number two, when it comes to accounting, when you talk about this stuff, accounting, etc., kind of thing, I think AI is going to is already doing it. You can see that globally and even in Malaysia, more and more jobs are now being more and more being retrenched at the routine level, is being retrenched because AI is taking over the job. Accounting too is becoming routine. Even medical diagnostics is becoming routine. The diagnostic side is becoming routine. Only the complex side is being escalated to the human, but the normal, cough and cold side is all being routine. So technology is going to definitely replace all those routine elements. You talk of P&L, you just put the figure in there, it will do the P&L for you, do the analysis for you, do P&L. It will tell you, you don't need to read also, it come automatically to flag for you what is the items that need to be flagged, etc. kind of thing, So definitely routine tasks will be taken over by technology. So your staff need to be reskilled to go to a higher level to become the human in the loop. If you do not do that, then what you're studying is retrenchment. And so the message that goes to the staff is that you have to learn the new skills. And that is lifelong learning, because technology is ever changing. So that's lifelong learning. You have to keep continuing to be relevant, to be employed. If you do not, then you become irrelevant, you be unemployed. You kalau jadi bos teruk betul ya, bela.
Thank you, Prof. I think this is a very good point that we need to incorporate Dato inside the framework as well. I mean, to be managed by CTAIS or to be communicated to all, so that this message is clear to everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Listen. Here, behind. Yeah. Prof, Assalamualaikum. I know. I'm just, I agree with what you have said just now, but it depends on the nature of knowledge, the nature of the subject itself. When it comes to accounting and engineering, we can use AI, but if we talk about philosophy, ethics, then how AI is going to explain? Even explain, we cannot understand. Like our student now, you ask them to do assignment, can do good assignment by using AI. But final question, they cannot answer well, because they don't have it within them. Like it happened during the press, printing press. They were the missionaries trying to only Christianity, to spread Christianity. They failed, even by using printing press. Now like another printing press, another process.
Thanks, Dr. Ba, for your comment. I think we need to look at it from this context. AI is a technology without life experience. It doesn't have the human experience. Yeah, it doesn't have that ruh, the soul, a human soul. It tak ada benda tu. It's dry. Yeah, it doesn't have that. So in the answers too, in what it responds kind of thing, it's dry because it doesn't have the living experience. It's actually aggregating knowledge which is out there, kind of thing, putting it together and giving it back to you. It's not creating anything new, right? I think we get this notion that it's creating new. It's not creating anything new. It's actually what's already existing there. Is putting it together and giving it back to you. So it doesn't have the soul and it doesn't have the life experience. And this is where subject matters that requires the soul and life experience, it will never take over that. Right? But dry subjects, yes, it will take over the dry. Where there's no need for the soul, there's no need for the human element being humane. That aspect of it, they're susah. But having said that, if you go to China, I go to China quite often, you come across humanoids now who can actually interact with you almost like a human, almost like a human, in terms of language interaction. Yeah, but they have, of course, they cannot feel. They don't have life experience dan sebagainya. So that's the thing. So true, yes. Some subjects yes, some subjects no. Some matters yes, some matters no. That's why when you talk about Tauhidi concept, you talk about where does it sit within it, kind of thing. So you cannot surrender and give everything to AI. So that's why the human has got to be there. And which human? Is it the what they call the what they call the ones who are not guided by Tauhid or the ones who are guided by Tauhid? That is the key. Yeah, because you will bring your values into your programming into the AI itself, because AI is not value free, it is value laden, it's culturally laden as well. So cultural context, comes in there. Historical context because as you program, because you're bringing that human value into it. I hope that explains that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, there's many things. Many things in my mind, Prof. Ansary. Okay, your presentation is very informative, very strategic, to inspire me now. Because at this age, being given to lead a faculty, I don't know where to start with. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm younger than you. Yeah, I'm younger than you. That's what. Yeah. Well, I think last few days, our Professor Karudin Aljunied was saying that every student must learn AI. So I started to ask myself, what to learn for AI? Are we going to teach them how to prompt engineering, or to develop AI system for accounting, or teach them how to invent the new model? Okay, talking about immigrant. I'm an immigrant from good old-fashioned AI to Gen AI, and then to general, what I call it, AGI, artificial general intelligence next. And they were talking about godlike AI, which is another matter, and then cosmic AI. With Tawhidic principle knowledge, I don't think we will go into godlike AI or cosmic AI. There is a threshold of AI, what AI can do and what AI cannot do. So from ICT faculty, we need to teach computer science student, AI student. So what we going to teach? Okay, are we going to teach the good old-fashioned AI knowledge, which is based on symbolic logic, mathematics? Yeah. Now we are using Gen AI based on statistical proximity, proximity and frequency, that kind of thing. Okay, so okay, I understand that we should use the user and the AI system developer. Okay, our dilemma now, how to teach the present computer science student. Okay, so we need a new curriculum, a new pedagogy, and a new trained lecturer to do this, and also infrastructure. talking about infrastructure alone, we don't even have a good infrastructure to teach the current computer science student. So this is, I think, my dilemma: where to start with. Allah, I need your suggestion.
I think there's no silver bullet. There's no silver bullet here. I just want to share with you what we do at UNESCO IITE, because we are looking always in terms of AI, in terms of IT and education. And of course, when we talk about IT and education itself, we're talking education from early childhood right up to lifelong learning, the whole spectrum that we cover in UNESCO. And when we talk about UNESCO, we're talking global. We're talking about 200 plus countries, etc. kind of thing. And the countries are well endowed, very advanced, etc. kind of thing, and then countries which are really underdeveloped, etc. and everything. So when we talk about technology, you can imagine the disparity between the have and the have-nots and so technology. So how do you find a middle ground, in terms of usage of IT, etc. kind of thing, and how do you use AI in terms of that, getting that middle ground? So one area, of course, is developing literacy itself, kind of thing. But we also say that at the same time at UNESCO that does everybody need to master AI? That's another question. Everyone need to master, or only certain individuals need to know in society. It needs to know. But if we do not educate and skill the underdeveloped countries, this digital divide is going to become greater and greater and greater. So how do you leapfrog them so that they are nobody's left behind? So this talk of nobody is left behind is very, very, very important. So some of the things that we do is that we use AI. Number one is in terms of development of teacher training for AI, because we think that in society it starts with the teachers. And when you talk to teachers here, it's a general term. Teachers here means that anybody who's involved with teaching, whether early childhood, whether what you call schooling, or whether what you call a trainer, whether you're a lecturer, that's a teacher. So there's that skill set that is required. That's number one. So when we do that training for them, we incorporate this idea of technology for good, technology to increase, to have a better lifestyle, technology to create wealth. These are the concepts that we have. Technology is not a burden. It should not be a burden, and neither should it be a barrier. So technology for quality of life, technology for creation of wealth, technology for improvement, kind of things. This is the concept that we have. So AI will also fall within that context. How do you use technology to create wealth? How do you use technology to make your life better, to improve your quality of life? So how do you also use, in terms of teachers, how do you use technology and AI in particular for teaching and learning itself, kind of thing? That's the other what you call level. The next level we look at in terms of what you call we talk about curriculum development, etc., and all that kind of thing. We always look at how can we share between the resources that the have and the have-nots have, because sharing of resources is the way to move forward. As you say just now, you do not have enough facilities itself here. So this is something I already spoke to the minister as well, Mr. Higher Education Bapani Dato Zamri, that many countries in the world, even rich countries like UK, like US kind of thing, they share resources among themselves, among the public universities, But here in Malaysia, we don't seem to do it. So there has got to be a framework, a policy of sharing resources between those who have and those who don't have. And I also would say that we should go one step further between the public and the private universities itself, because public universities may have some resources which you do not utilize, with private universities can come and use and pay you, and therefore you can get some what you call some return on investment on your infrastructure, return on investment, and you can use that to improve your infrastructure, So I think this is something that need to be taken up by the vice chancellors, because he told me, Watson need to take this up, kind of thing, between public universities and between public universities and private institutes as well. I think that's something that we can look at, and we do that in terms of in UNESCO. We do it together with donors and recipients. So we always get donors to come and donate, sector kind of thing, the infrastructure sector. Sometimes they donate time, sometimes donate etc. In the context of Tauhidic AI and IIUM, I think one powerful instrument that can be utilized is Waqaf, instrument of Waqaf. because the instrument of wakaf can be utilized to in order to better your what you call infrastructure for sure. You can use the instrument of wakaf in order to get expertise as well, because you can wakaf your expertise, right? You can wakaf your time. You can wakaf even berkaitan wakaf sementara pun you boleh bagi juga, So I think this is something that IIUM is in a better position to do than other universities in terms of using the instrument of wakaf. I say this because I'm chairman of wakaf di Perak. So we look at all these other instruments in terms of wakaf. So I think wakaf. And wakaf is something which is not alien to what you call to universities. I mean the first university it's a wakaf university. Yeah, in Fes, the oldest university in the world. It's a wakaf. Yeah. So I think the concept has been there for a long time. It's a question of whether we as a university, use it as a powerful instrument in order to develop our infrastructure, the capability, our capacity, etc., and all that kind of thing. Then finally, when it comes to the syllabus itself, I think there are two things here that's going on globally. One is that traditional computer science is slowly being overtaken by the technology itself. So programming itself, if you look at programming itself, a lot of coding now can be done by technology. They can code themselves. AI can code for you itself, But of course, having the fundamentals, knowing the ABCs is very important, of coding. But going deep into it is no need, because there are tools now you can use. The tools itself can code itself. So so you got to redesign the content of the traditional computer science to say what tools there are, and you give them the skills to manage those tools, kind of thing. So the human is still in the loop as far as the tools are concerned. That's number one. Number two, traditional computer science too has been very much data driven, very dry and data driven. It is lacking the ethical side of use of what they call of the knowledge itself. That's something that needs to be brought in. That's number one. Number two, humanizing it. That aspect also is not there. The humanity, the human aspect. I'm talking human aspect. The humanity of it, because as we know, a lot of things have become autonomous now. We are moving in this direction of autonomous, what they call, world. In the autonomous world, everything is coded already. Yeah, we talk about tacit and code kan. Kita human banyak tacit knowledge. Yeah, slowly our tacit knowledge is now being codified. So when that becomes codified, that becomes very structured already. Because tacit knowledge is very fluid. Yeah, it moves according to experience, etc., kind of thing. Once become codified, that's what it is. It's codified kind of thing. So they move more and more towards this codified aspect of what they call of living with technology. There's a danger there. So I think in computer science syllabus, you have to bring this concept of more of the human side, the tacit side that needs to come in, so that you have more and more of that, that agentic punya aspect, right? Because we need the agentic aspect. But the agentic aspect, as you know, is also algorithm, also pattern based. Yeah. So the algorithm and pattern based is where we talk about how do we now input more into the training of the AI, our tacit experience. So it becomes more and more human and move towards that. I think this is a challenge that we are having across the world at the moment. Everybody's talking about this, how to redo it, kind of thing. So I don't have a silver bullet answer, Tengku. I think you're in a better position to know what to do. But these are the things that we are discussing at UNESCO level, which still has not settled yet. Tak ada. Walaupun a global expert belum settle lagi. Thank you.
Okay, Dato, can we have Dato to say last one? Because we have time.
There are many questions that I would like to discuss, but because of time, just want to concentrate on one. This one, I would like Professor Dato Faris. He's in charge of academic, usually in terms of curriculums, in terms of basically clear the message is we technology carries on when it has further advanced in terms of performing routine work, more the wider area there. So that has to be now in terms of basically teaching content. In what we have in university, we need to revise our curriculum. Kemudian the emphasis on teaching instruction. It is not to produce, as I said, not to produce facts. Yeah. But one issue that for us quite some time, but somehow, even in the West and ourselves in Muslim countries, we have not really been able to address this. How to integrate facts and values? Yeah, facts and values. We are the education until now. We only concerned of collecting facts. So data accumulation. You are very good. You're very good at that. But knowledge doesn't grow. Knowledge only grow if there is interpretation of those facts. This is where now I think where we need to emphasize. For example, ethical interpretation. Yeah, what do those data imply in terms of ethics? Yeah, the theoretical part also technology can find out. The only thing that now they don't know, for example, say in Islamic civilization, so much knowledge which we have forgotten. We need to revive those knowledge that's been forgotten. Now we want AI to help us to basically to recover that knowledge. But that is a sort of problem. Again, sudah just memorize what those theoretical meaning of this variant, but how to change their mind, how to change their, how to transform them into human beings that better appreciate the ethical values. This is where I think maybe we need to look at this. Yeah, I think we need to do that. We need your help, Prof. We need your help, and because of that, we would like to. I would like to appoint you as member of the advisory committee of CTAIS. You know, you are not the only one, but I would like you to know to help us. Yeah.
I'm humbled by your, what do you call, offer, and to be a pleasure, inshallah, whatever I can contribute. But coming back to this aspect of facts and values,
Yeah.
how do you embed values into the factual aspect, kind of thing? I think this is where, I mean, Tengku, you're mentioning just now about computer science, kan? And I mentioned earlier as well, technology is actually not valueless. Technology is value driven, whether we like it or not, because the what they call the inventors, and the programmers, they have values, and they're bringing the values into the technology itself. And in AI, is much more apparent than in other places, very apparent in other places, and therefore you can see, that it is not value free, is value laden. And this is why when you talk about a sovereign AI in Malaysia kind of thing, we got to put into the sovereign AI machine learning. We got to make it learn our own history, Malaysian history, our own values. Whether we're talking Malaysian values here, we're talking whether it's Malay, Indian, Chinese, Kadazan kind of thing. You got to put that khazanah of experience into the machine learning, so that when it responds to you, the response comes with taking that khazanah into consideration. That's the values. Otherwise, it can just become factual. Yeah.
Only
Yeah.
thing is that now the studies you have the clash of values. In other words, depends who is the input the controlling. So basically, the one who had the power, they impose their values through AI. That's the danger. Yeah.
So this is where you see, this is where you see even Disney, you will see Disney now, Disney those days, Disney now is promoting LGBT, whether you like it or not. It's again values driven, So same thing with what they call with technology, particularly with AI. It is values driven, and we have to appreciate that and not take everything that comes out from there at face value. You got to look it and have a prism on it and challenge it and say that, is it reflecting our values or not, our Malaysian values or not, framing within that context.
Okay, Prof.
Yeah.
Since Dato mentioned my name. I think, first of all, I would like to thank Prof. Ansary for giving the very good, I would say that quite holistic and comprehensive framework. But like Dato Rector mentioned, the challenge is the details. I think when we sit down and see how are we going to operationalize this, I think there are many challenges that I can see. I mean, for example, based on research, also people are saying now, for school children who are exposed to technology, they are less thinking. Now we're saying that we want to use technology, at the same time we want to produce thinkers. So I think these are the things that are very challenging. And then, of course, being at IIUM, I mean, values, ethics are very important. So again, how can we ensure that, as we embarking on this project and new tools, how can we preserve that? I think those are the challenges lah. So that's why I say the framework is very good, but we have to sit down. Good that Prof. Ansary now become our advisor. We will sit down and see how can we really put this holistic, together. Thank you.
AI cannot give more budget.
students don't understand how we do the programming, how we do this. They will never understand the how to click, what do you have until you get
I think it's simple. I think technology and the user of technology must have a very, very good relationship.
I go back to one quick point you mentioned just now about this soul, the concept of soul. There's a lot of discussion. I'm following through a lot of discussion globally among philosophers in terms of technology, technology and futurists, etc., kind of thing, talking about the dehumanizing of men because of technology, and there's a lot of debate. What makes men men? What makes us human as opposed to technology? All right. So the answer is value. At the end of the day, it comes to the value that you hold, because technology doesn't have that kind of value. The value that you hold. For us Muslims, is the soul, the ruh, that makes us, keep us alive and keeps us what we are. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, I've asked you, your soul, before, who is your Lord? And you say that I am your Lord. Yeah. Allah Hukum. So in other words, for us, it's very clear. That's why the Tawhidi concept is extremely clear. So if you get that concept right and you instill it into your curriculum, etc., kind of thing, then I think we will not go very far. We will remain in which we have technology experts, but they are grounded with the right kind of value. That's what we're looking for. So Tunku's challenge is to produce those, computer scientists who are excellent, at the same time valued in the Tawhidic punya body of knowledge, the concept of Tawhid.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. I think I have to end the session now, and we will proceed to the presentation because we are already 12:35, 12:40 now, 10 minutes above time. So we will proceed to the presentation of the a token of appreciation as a small gesture of our gratitude to Prof. Dato Dr. Ansary. Please. And I welcome the rector to present the token of appreciation.
Okay.
These are the fruits of the discussion. Alhamdulillah.
Very good.
Wow, very philosophical, very philosophical.
First time I'm getting fruits.
Fruits of discussion.
Okay.
So we had a fruitful discussion.
And we look forward to having you be our advisor at CTAIS, inshallah. Okay. So that brings to the end of today's presentation and program, which was supposed to end at 12:30, but we have gone over time. Thank you very much for all of your time and being here with us. And we extend again our sincere appreciation to our speaker, Dato Dr. Ansary, as well as our rector, for being here with us. And thank you very much. So to the others, please join us for the photography session as well as the refreshment. We can have photography session.